witness through the years. They call my name in the black and dark. Melchaia's reign leaves its mark from the world above. They fall to me through endless realms. I set them free. Keeper of souls, elven dread. My throne forged in shades of red. I am the keeper, the one who remains through life and death, through pleasure and pain. Metal veins and iron will, in the depths I linger still. An ancient god reborn remain, bound to shadows unafraid. Rise from the void and flame, a god reborn, never the same. Electric pulse in rhythm and sound, bound to the earth, yet unbound. Keeper of shadows, ruler of none, eternal watch till all are one. From life to death, through endless flight, I hold the souls within my sight.
Alright, well, you have a good time on your motorcycle. I gotta be streaming for a while, so if you're back, you may catch the tail end of my Grim Dawn stream. So I'm gonna go from yapping to Grim Dawn.
Whispers rise from the bones below, ancient echoes in the afterglow. Once a god, now bound by fate, in shadows deep I lie and wait. Elven blood, dark cast the night, in realms unseen I hold the light. Soul strip by, lost and cold, in my hands the story's told. Elven blood, dark cast the night, in realms unseen I hold the light. Soul strip by, lost and cold, in my hands the story's told. I am the keeper, the one who remains through life and death, through pleasure and pain. Metal veins and iron will, in the depths I linger still. An ancient god reborn remain, bound to shadows unafraid. Rust and echoes, wires and gears, silent witness through the years. They call my name in the black and dark. Melchaia's reign leaves its mark from the world above. They fall to me through endless realms. I set them free. Keeper of souls, elven dread. My throne forged in shades of red. I am the keeper, the one who remains through life and death, through pleasure and pain. Metal veins and iron will, in the depths I linger still. An ancient god reborn remain, bound to shadows unafraid. Rise from the void and flame, a god reborn, never the same. Electric pulse in rhythm and sound, bound to the earth, yet unbound. Keeper of shadows, ruler of none, eternal watch till all are one. From life to death, through endless flight, I hold the souls within my sight. From the world above, they fall to me. Through endless realms, I set them free. Keeper of souls, elven dread. My throne forged in shades of red. I am the keeper, the one who remains. Through life and death, through pleasure and pain. Metal veins and iron will. In the depths I linger still. An ancient god reborn remain. Bound to shadows unafraid. Rise, rise from the void and flame. A god reborn, never the same. Electric pulse in rhythm and sound. Bound to the earth, yet unbound. Keeper of shadows, ruler of none. Eternal watch till all are one. From life to death, through endless flight, I hold the souls within my sight.
Alright. Hello and welcome. God damn, this is actually the first time I've ever been in a just chatting category. Feels a little weird. It feels a little licky. Not gonna lie. Now, as you can see, people haven't seen this particular outfit in almost a year now. Yeah, it's been like 7 months. But I figured I'd start the stream wearing this because, yeah, it's a little nostalgic, even though it hasn't been that long. Oh, fuck you. You're not getting ASMR from me. Yeah, it's just business. There's your ASMR, by the way, Nitchies. I hope you like it. Alright, so, this is going to actually be talking about Melchaia, who he is as a character, and how he actually relates to me as a person. And I'm just going to come right at the gates and say, of all the characters I have in my repertoire, Melchaia ain't it. He probably... So, right out the gates, when I was thinking about who I wanted to be as a VTuber, I didn't want to be so on the nose that it was me. And so I actually passed up possibly the best possible character in a lot of ways. Because I used to do a lot of writing. About 15 years ago, I stopped for a myriad of reasons. But one of the characters from there was a character by the name of Jatan, and he has been with me since I was, well, in elementary school. And as a character was, grew with me, became my alter ego in a lot of ways. So if you wanted someone that would have represented who I was, he would have been the one to pick. But I decided I didn't want to do that. So I went through my catalog of characters, and in there, from a story that I was writing that was actually meant to be a storyboard idea for a game, which actually had combat mechanics I was planning that was going to be very similar to Xenogears. There was a character in it whose name was Velchrist. Velchrist was a relatively short, blonde-haired, blue-eyed fellow, notorious about being able to use shadows and darkness in general. But I couldn't justify how he had these powers. And so in his story, his body actually became possessed by a second spirit. And that spirit was the spirit of a dead god. And that dead god was an ancient elven deity by the name of Melchaia, Lord of the Dead. And at that moment in time, I knew I actually had to flesh him out as a character. So, that is... I'm not going to get into that. I mean, I could spend hours talking about that old story. Yeah, he didn't really get body snatched. They actually shared the body. Kind of in like astral planey type thing. They could actually speak to each other directly. They knew each other. But because Melchaia was without a body for so long, he was very weak. So he lent his power to Velchrist, while Melchaia just remained dormant within Velchrist until, events later in the story caused Melchaia to emerge and take over. But that's neither here nor there. So that is the basis behind where Melchaia as a character originally came from. So he was actually from a story I was writing. Now, obviously, this Melchaia is a little different. I mean, yeah, still ancient elven god of the dead. But we'll get into why and how he's come to represent me more than I originally thought he would. So, for the record, I am actually writing a story right now about Melchaia and his history. And I'm doing it in the format of an interview. And right now there's only one other person who's actually seen the work that I've been doing so far. And it is because their character is the one that's interviewing me. Now, in that interview, Melchaia explains that his people did not originate from the human world. They came from a different world and sailed through the mists from their world to come to this world. But in doing so, they forgot everything that came before. They don't remember their families. They don't remember their lives. They don't remember the world they came from. The only things that they remember are the things that they know how to do because they've done them so many times. So it was a completely fresh start for them. And that actually kind of came to be a representation of a part of my own life, actually. And it's not that I forget that particular period of time, but I've moved on from it. And that was, how that was the events actually during and before my divorce when I was married. After a couple of years, I passed through those mists, and no, I didn't forget anything, but, I definitely came out of it a very changed person. And Mel's theme in the stories of him being a sailor is also very much a tip of the hat to my dad, and also to a good chunk of my childhood. So, my dad, he was a merchant marine for the Holland America lines. Quite some time ago. He traveled the world, got to see a lot of things, but, the sea was always his place to be. And when I grew up, or as I was growing up, the family, so, Mom Kaya, Sister Kaya, Dad Kaya, and myself, we would all go every couple summers to go fishing, go boating, that kind of thing. But eventually it just became a thing that my dad and I did. So even at a young age, I actually learned my way around a boat, and I could actually pilot a small ocean craft. I could pilot a small ocean craft at the age of fucking 10, okay? I got good enough at it even as I was getting older. When one of the boats we had, when the engine was starting to go, I actually knew. My dad and I we both could figure out when the transmission was going. Because inboard outboard motors are notoriously difficult to actually kind of tell when they're starting to fail. But because we've been around these boats for as long as we could figure it out. So that was fun. We were actually fishing in a 19-foot long. No, sorry, was it 19? No, it's a 21-foot long deep V-hull boat out in the ocean, like not in like a channel or anything, but out in the fucking ocean, middle of nowhere. And we're doing some salmon trolling, and all of a sudden I start to hear a grind as I'm about to give a little bit more gas to the engine, and I'm like, oh fuck. And sure enough, the clutch slips, and we have no power in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. So, about an hour later, my dad and I managed to get the engine back up and running again, but we can't run it any higher than its first gear. So we literally just have to putt our way back from there back into the harbor. And a trip like that, when we had when we were able to open the engine up completely, it still took us half an hour. So doing this at first speed on this 50 horsepower motor, it took us almost 3 hours. It was the most boring moment I can remember. But anyways, yes, so that actually has a lot to do with Melchaia's penchant and proclivity for sailing, is that aspect of my upbringing. So that's where that comes in. And kind of not really sure how I would go about the whole God of the Dead thing, but there is a connection there too. So in Melchaia's story, he was seen amongst his people as like a navigator and a guide, because he was one of the people that brought the elves through the mists. He was never their leader. That's actually the important thing. He was never their leader. They have a king and queen. He was neither, but he was definitely seen as a figure of note. Not necessarily importance, but of note within their society. Because he was one of the ones that actually was navigating one of the ships that came through the mists, guiding their people to the new lands. And from there on out, a lot of common folk would look to Melchaia if they couldn't look towards the king and queen for, guidance, or, if they needed to go out onto the oceans for some reason, they would either always ask him or go with him. That just, was his thing. Now, how that translates into him becoming a deity was because of how connected he was with the people. He and 6 others, so the king and queen, him, and 4 other elves, realized that the soul of their people was gone. They lost everything when they came through the mists. They were just simply surviving and going about trying to do the best that they could, but they had no hope, no faith, no guidance, nothing of the sort. So they decided that they would go out of their way to become what their people lacked. Hey, Hina, welcome aboard. And each one of them had to undertake their own personal journey to become the deities that they became. Melchaia in particular, and bear in mind, they had no idea what they were looking for. None at all. They just knew that they had to do something. And Melchaia, on his journey, came across a creature from another world, or another plane, if you will. He didn't know what it was, but he knew that it posed a danger, because he could witness it consuming souls. And he knew the threat that posed. So he fought it. And bear in mind, Melchaia doesn't fight with a sword or a spear. He's a fist fighter. Yeah. Melchaia went like fisticuffs against a demon. And in the process, got his ass handed to him. He actually died in that. However, because of what he had done, he didn't necessarily die. He passed over into the realm of Ivanwan Arda, or the Dead Realms. And there, he is where he realized that he had become something more. For his act of being a guardian, for being a protector of souls, he actually became the guardian of the dead. He became, well, it was started on his path to become the guardian of the dead, but, you know, I'm going to flesh out a bunch of that story, but long story short, that is the moment that he was able to don the mantle of being Maledictus, God of the Dead. So now we're going to talk about Maledictus. And Maledictus, for the record, let me see, where are we? Is this? This is Maledictus. Now, Maledictus is the god of the dead. His job is not to take souls. He is not a god of death. A god of death is the one who decides when it's time for a mortal to leave the mortal plane and takes their soul to the afterlife. Some of them will also fulfill the role of being the custodian of those souls after the fact, but that is not always the case. Maledictus, on the other hand, his duty, if you will, is to shepherd the souls once they're there to go on their journey through the cycle of death and reincarnation. But his other duty, his other task, is to actually be the protector of that cycle. If anything threatens the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, he's the one that intervenes. And to him, now a lot of early cultures think of gods as aspects of fundamental things within the world. So, if a volcano is exploding, it's got to be a god underneath, hammering away at his forge, sending, lava up or what have you. Or if it's a thunderstorm, it's Zeus throwing lightning bolts down. That isn't, in his world, that is not how gods are. In his world, and how he has come to understand deities, being one himself, is they are not personifications of natural phenomenon. They are custodians of natural phenomenon. So he isn't the reason. He is not the personification of life, death, and rebirth. He's the one who maintains the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Which also is one of the big reasons why he is also a protector of that particular cycle. Is, you can't maintain it if you let others destroy it. I mean, come on. Now, I'm going to get back into something here as to why him being a protector and him being a guardian also relates to me as a person, because that is an aspect that I will always gravitate towards. Now, I went through a period of my life when I had no one in my corner. No one at all. I can't tell you during that period of time how many times I would try and go to sleep at night and wish there was someone there that would stand up for me. I was bullied through school, even through high school. Um, the only one who would stand up for me was myself. There was no one in my corner. That was all there was to it. And don't get me wrong, I actually honestly think that my parents did what they thought was the right thing to do. Often just telling me to ignore what was going on and just carry on, but we all know that doesn't work. You know? And I didn't feel like they were in my corner. And the thing with Mel being a guardian is, well, him being a protector, him, and also an aspect of myself as just a regular person. I am the tank. And if Davin were here, because he's not, he's actually dealing with some family issues right now, he would actually tell you all about it. But yeah, when push comes to shove, me being a tank in games is actually also a reflection of the kind of person I am in real life. I will always be that bulwark that will stand between you and whatever wants to hurt you. Because I never had that. I don't want anyone else to ever have to deal with that. And that is why Mel's a protector. That's why he's a guardian. So, it's just an aspect of him that resonated with me so much. I mean, the more I started developing him as a character, of course it's thankless. And of course not a lot of people want to do it. And hell, there are times I don't. But I do. I do it anyways. Because like I said, I know what it's like not to have someone there. You know, I went through that at the end of, during the divorce, during that initial breakup. I went through that during my time in high school and even in elementary school. You know, there were many points in my life when that was the thing. So, yeah, and I refuse to see that happen to other people. Because, like I said, I know what it's like. I've been there. But just because I've been there doesn't mean you have to be. It doesn't make you... Going through that, suffering through that kind of thing, doesn't necessarily make you a better person. I mean, yeah, it's made me who I am today. Would I undo any of that stuff? Well, I had to think long and hard about that question, when I was asking myself that, but no, I wouldn't. But would I ever want someone else to go through it? Fuck no. Just straight up fuck no. There were a lot of things in life that I've actually wanted to go and do. A lot of things I was never able to do. And a lot of things I ended up having to put down that I enjoyed doing. Due to the myriad of various issues throughout the course of my life. Writing being one of them. Art was actually one that I ended up putting down. That was more because at that point in time I had no idea what was going to happen because my parents were going to move away, and I was also looking to get into aerospace engineering in school, and the time I would have to dedicate to that, and then I had to dedicate time to getting a job, and I was just a mess. So unfortunately that went by the wayside. Writing always stuck with me, though. Writing has never fully, truly left me. Even though I did stop writing for the longest time, I have picked it back up on occasion, and I've picked it back up again. So, but yeah, this is why Mel resonates and represents me as the way he does. Now, I know in his design that you see. Hey, Alan, welcome aboard. Yeah, so he doesn't have any maritime symbology on him, and I am thinking I may actually change that at some point and get something to kind of represent the aspect of him that is tied to sailing, and also me as well, because that was such a big part of my life, spending time with my dad, that it deserves to be shown in some way, shape, or form. But you can only do so much when you're dealing with free model, or you're doing things low budget. You can't really go ham with that. So, yeah, well, I mean, I was actually kind of thinking this would take a little bit longer to talk about, but I think I just got most of it off my chest. Oh, actually, no, hold on. No, let's back up a sec. So, it hasn't really come up much because I don't have art for it. And it only shows up on occasion in some of the stories I've written, and in some of the games I play. Every now and then you'll see my Melchaia character with a companion by the name of Skazar. So Mel has 2 spirit companions. One is a direwolf, the other is a giant-ass panther. The panther is Skazar, and it is actually a slight bastardization of the name of my cat, Skeezer, who has since passed away, but was also a very big part of my life while I was going through some really rough shit. And it just felt smart to honor and respect that cat in the way that I could, in any way I could. So she's actually very much a part of Melchaia's lore. And the direwolf, his name is Aer. Now I just completely made up. It's not based off of any particular animal or any individual that I know. But I figured it'd be kind of interesting for Mel to have a wolf and a panther companion. Elf. Why not? Now, both of them are actually part of a relic. Like they're each relics, and Mel's weapons are actually giant gauntlets. Each one is actually the spirit animals. They turn into his weapons, and his giant gauntlets actually they float around him. They follow his movements, and his way to fight is very brutal. Is it refined? Yes. Is it effective? Yes. Is it absolutely brutal? Yes. The brutality is actually a reflection of myself that I'm not the most proud of. And that is because for the longest time, I had such issues with rage and anger. So that is a representation of that aspect of myself right there. Is his brutality is a very much a mirror of my own when I was dealing with rage and anger issues. Now, I'm going to also say this. Is Mel am I ever going to rebrand away from Mel? Because, let's face it, I've only been doing this a year. Any kind of rebranding would be years down the road, if ever. I don't know. Maybe. If I ever get corporate, yes. Oh, no. That's not a rebrand, zombie. That's just going to be a Mel alter ego. Actually, so speaking of which, so the reason why I decided to do this, by the way, to talk about Mel and Mel's connection to me as a person, is because I actually have, right now, in progress, an actual original official character art reference sheet for Mel. Male, yes, but can be used for either. I will not have it in hand, probably not until June, from the sounds of things. It was literally just started 2 days ago. So, yeah, it was started on Monday, like as of Monday. And from that, I am definitely going to be looking at getting live 2D models. And from that also, Melchaia, as we all like to joke about a little bit here, is going to become a thing. But I'm gonna, once I got the character art in hand, I am gonna post about the follower goal on Twitter. I have been avoiding doing so. I've wanted to mention it, but I've avoided it because I have this sneaky suspicion that I know enough people that they would promote my channel to try and get me as many follows as possible in as short a span of time as possible. So I'm not going to do that right now because I still need a little bit of time to set things up, and I want to make sure I got the character art in hand first before I open those floodgates. Because it's going to take a while, no matter what. Just period. I know that these have to have a bit of a lead in, and I think you're going to enjoy the male art, and then just imagining it as a female, and of course because Melchaia is literally the joke. I can guarantee you it'll be grossen titten. Or, to translate German to English, giant tits. Yeah. Actually, funny. Who here follows Alara? Who here actually spends time in Alara's channel? Okay, so Zombie, were you there when she was telling the story about her trip to Germany and the waiter at the bar she went to with Aya? Okay, so I don't remember the whole thing because it was a little while ago, but I remember her saying that when she was there, this one waiter kept coming over and just really being nice to her and Aya, just really nice. And as they were, there was one thing that she overheard that waiter talking to some of the other staff, and obviously making the motion over his own chest as to having a large set of boobs, and she heard him say "grossen Titten." And so she relayed that to her chat, and it has stuck ever since. And of course, he was talking about her. Apparently, he thought she was a porn star. So yeah, that was pretty funny actually. So Alan, there's another VTuber. She does a lot of news, a lot of news type streams. Her name is Alara. Actually, let's do this. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this is her channel. So if you ever want to give her a follow.
Anyway, chat, I don't want to be too... What the fuck? What the fuck? Don't look at that. Don't look at that!
Yeah, that's her, all right.
Whoops. My bad. My bad.
Yeah, so if you ever wanted to check her out, she tends to stream much earlier in the day. But yeah, absolutely follow her. She's fucking chaotic and fun. I don't follow her as much as I used to, because now that another streamer I follow has started streaming at roughly the same time, I kind of have to figure out and divide my time who I'm gonna listen to. But yeah, so there's that. So yeah, I still need to talk to the artist I've been yapping with about female Mel, but that isn't gonna really go anywhere until I get the character art. But as of right now, I actually do have someone who's agreed to do the work. They actually had said that they would be honored to, so there is that. See, I would go with that, but the problem is that if I'm at work, I'm usually watching on my phone, and you can only manage one stream on your phone at one time. So if I'm not working, that's another story entirely. But they both tend to stream during my work hours. All right, so, and yes, Nichies, I did see your comment earlier about an elf fist fighting. Mel is a fist fighting elf. 3 phones. I think if I brought 3 phones into work, they would look at me funny. How is it appropriation? Because if anything, everyone's appropriated it from Mel. Yeah, fuck elegance. Go with effectiveness. Go with what you've got on hand, also known as your hands. Oh, right. That does remind me. So, I had mentioned Mel and his, Mel and the elves came through the mists. So, yes, they landed in Ireland, or what would eventually become Ireland. When they came through the mists was 250,000 years ago. I kind of think they have, I kind of think elves win that one over humans. If anyone has the patent on it. So yeah, Mel's fucking ancient. Now, if I were to expand the lore of him and his people coming through the mists, they are not going to be the only species or the only race that came through the mists. So actually, his group also had a bunch of fae coming with him, so not just elves. So a bunch of the fae creatures came with him, but other people came through the mists into other regions. So, you know, a lot of the ancient creatures of mythology would have come through from other worlds through mists. Probably even around the same time. Kind of establishing the, you know, kind of the groundwork for the, you know, for all the myths and legends of humanity. Now, the other thing, too, that we've got is, so Ivan Arda itself, so Mel's realm, is important here, because when he got there, he he noticed there were ruins there. This is a realm of deities. This is a realm of gods, a realm separated from the mortal realm, and there were already things there. There were ruins, like structures that had once been there. So there was clearly someone or other people there before him. I haven't expounded upon that, and I'm not about to anytime soon, but that is definitely going to be one of the mysteries that I have surrounding his lore that I may write about in time. Yeah, so ancient subway sign, just a busted up stop sign hiding somewhere. Just a nice slime girl. I mean, they can fit in anything, and anything can fit into them. There's that. This is true. I mean, hell, dude. Not even 10,000 years, like 1,000 years from now. Do you really think society as it is today is going to last 1,000 years? No, that shit's going... That shit's going the way of the dinosaurs, man. There will be people asking questions about the Golden Arches. Yeah, so that is actually one of the things about slime girls that always kind of makes me wonder, are they like a gelatinous cube? You know, just giant slime creature of acid. That has always been a bit of a question. I'm not gonna lie. No, you won't ask. You'll just experiment. Let's be honest, zombie. Alright, so I think lore yapping wise, I'm pretty much where I was planning on going with it. But going to touch on the if I ever end up going Corpo, I already know who that's gonna be. That would absolutely be Jatan. But it's also, you know, that would also be a character that would take years to perfect properly. So that ain't happening. That's not happening as an indie. I am keeping Mel as my persona, as indie. And the more I am Mel, the more Mel becomes me in a lot of ways. So there is that. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I had some of the legwork already done because, like I said, I wrote stories about Mel years ago, but again, he was a different character then. But it wasn't hard to pull from that to create this character. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Haven't really touched on that. Or maybe because of the fact that elves existed and had more influence over the world back then, maybe they had something to do with it. Who knows? Needs more neon. Alright, so I am going to finish that up, and I'm going to switch my category to Grim Dawn. And now it is time